going back to the stats, let's see. Vitality increases your maximum equipment load. Once again, important. Attunement boosts several things. It boosts your agility down here, which is... It determines how many invulnerability frames you have when you roll, when you backstep. It determines how quickly you use items. Which doesn't sound super important, but can be the difference between life and death in certain situations. Attunement only raises agility a small amount, but it's useful. It also raises your attunement slots, which at the moment we have none. It's sort of a scale. As you hit certain tiers of attunement, it unlocks more spellcasting slots for you. Once again, important stat for a caster. I'm going to be playing as a strength primary build, but we're going to be using faith because it adds to your survivability. There's a reveal on that. So we're going to be boosting attunement probably just for 2 or maybe 3 slots, depending on how we play. Strength is one of the 2 primary physical attack damage attributes. Most heavy, huge weapons use strength. Most finesse weapons, rapiers, bows, use dexterity. Most weapons have requirements that are both strength and dexterity, so it's important to raise both, but you're usually going to focus on one of the 2. We're going to be focusing on strength weapons. I'm going to be building around high damage attacks, high damage single attacks with long range, because I feel that range is an incredibly important thing for a melee character that's new. Some of my favorite weapons are incredibly short range, and it can be hard to recover when you're new if you miss an attack because you're using a fist weapon or a small dagger. So, as I'm saying, emphasis on range for this character. Adaptability is your primary agility raising stat. Like, this is adaptability, this is the stat you raise. This is agility, this is the stat that gets raised when you boost adaptability. Once again, it raises your invulnerability frames, increases how fast you use items. It also raises your natural poise. Getting into poise, poise is how well you can take a hit. When you get hit, your poise determines how much stamina damage you take, and if you'll be staggered or not. It's basically kind of like a hidden counter, and every hit you receive lowers that counter. After a certain amount of time, the counter starts building again. If you get hit with a lot of small attacks quickly, or you get hit with a big physical attack, it can stagger you. You'll be unable to move or recover based on your poise. So, important, but mostly raised by your armor. Natural poise is great. I believe that the amount of scaling from your armor works in some manner with your natural poise. I could be wrong. The wiki is your friend, as always. But your primary way of raising poise is going to be equipment, which this equipment we have right now, it's light armor. Not going to help us much in the poise department. And then there's the 2 caster stats, Intelligence and Face. Intelligence is for sorceries, and also, I believe, for pyromancies. I've not played with pyromancy much. It's not the same as it was in the last game, and so I've not been as interested in it. Face is used for miracles. There's also hexes, which use a combination of both. For this build, we're going to be using Face. It raises how much we'll heal. If we use protection spells or damage spells, it also raises those. It also boosts lightning defense. That's the other thing. Different stats will raise your resistances, which are these just slurry of numbers that we have to go through. If you haven't already realized at this point, you already know the stats, feel free to skip ahead. Most of this video is going to be devoted to just reading this poor screen. That's just a huge glut of information. Alright, so, next stat coming up, HP. That determines the red bar up here, top left. More HP is always good, determines how many hits you can take. Once again, our focus is on not getting hit or blocking attacks as much as possible. But having that wiggle room that extra HP gives is always appreciated. Then we have the I'm over on the right side just so you can read these stats with me. Next we have our stamina, already covered stamina. Equipment load, already covered that in the bottom right. Our attunement slots, how many spells we can cast. Our casting speed, which is raised by our attunement stat. It just how quickly you cast. I believe it progresses semi-naturally, but there are tiers to it. Your strength attack, your dex attack, which are both the same right now because our strength and dex are both the same level and very low. The magic bonus, I believe that scales off of your intelligence. Fire bonus raises off intelligence as well. Lightning bonus off of face. Dark bonus raises off of int and face. Poison, I believe, is off of dexterity. Bleed, I believe, is off of strength. I could be wrong, and Wiki is your friend. I'm not big on either of those weapon types, even though they are very good in certain situations, which may come up. Physical defense, raised by strength. I believe your adaptability also... No, adaptability is for resistances. Leveling different stats will get your physical defense up, but you're primarily going to raise it with equipment. Same with magic defense, fire, lightning, dark, poison, all these different resistances. Adaptability will, like I said, raise most of your resistances, which are to these magic types and these damage types. So another reason to boost adaptability. When I started off, just on a tangent here, adaptability did not seem like a very good stat to me, and I didn't appreciate how much it brings to the table. But as I got away from playing as a turtling shield build, and I got used to having the extra iframes, and I saw how much less damage I took from the extra resistance it gives, it's become one of my favorite stats. You use it in more situations than you realize until you take a step back and appreciate it. Over here on the right, we have you have 3 weapons on your right hand, 3 on your left hand. This is their damages. As you can see, most of them are 45. That's just because we don't have anything on our left hand and we don't have anything equipped to our extra slots on our right hand. And these are our defenses versus strike, slash, thrust. There are 4 damage types for melee weapons. There's just plain regular or physical damage, and then there's strike, slash, and thrust. Strike is for, I always get these confused. We're going to be focusing on strike early on. A lot of the early game enemies are weak to strike damage. Slash is better at organic enemies that aren't armored, and thrust is good against heavily armored enemies. It basically pierces through their defenses. And then our overall poise is only 1.8. That's all natural poise because our current equipment has no poise on it. That was quite a lot to get through. Thank you for sticking with me for that. Now that we've done that, we're going to play through the tutorial, mostly to see if it jogs loose anything in my memory that I should have told you already. I just remembered. I'm feeling brave. If you hit your... On my controller, it's the Y button. Top middle button. Otherwise, you'll two-hand your weapon. Changes the moveset. One thing that it does is if you're using a weapon that needs extra strength, which, let's check out our dagger. Show item info. Okay, so let's go through the information. Bottom left, there's the damage. Here we go. This will show it. And then show item info. Perfect. Here we go. That's what I wanted to see. The damage. This is the weapon type, dagger. It does slash and thrust damage depending on the attack. It's not doing both every time. Different moves in its moveset will do either slash or thrust damage. The physical attack obviously doesn't have any kind of magic, poison, bleed. The counter strength. When an enemy attacks, after they've done their attack animation, they're open to increased damage based on the counter strength of your weapon. So, daggers, especially, and certain other weapon types, do more counter damage, which is basically a window of opportunity to do more damage after an enemy has done their attack, or while they're in the middle of doing an attack and you're avoiding it. So, useful. There's ways to boost it, and there's builds that are built around counter damage that can be incredibly strong. But it's not really something I want you to focus on as a new player. The poise damage. Enemies have poise just like you do, especially human enemies and small enemies. You'll be doing enough poise damage to stagger them, which can be incredibly useful. We're actually about to go get something to help boost our poise damage early game. Shot range, that's for range attacks. Casting speed, we're not going to be casting with. That'll matter if you're using a talisman, a casting staff, stuff like that. These are all it for shields. This is if you blocked an attack using it. You can't do that with a right-handed weapon, only a left-handed weapon. Stability, also about shields. Stability reduces how much stamina damage you take when you're blocking with a weapon. More important for shields, as I said. The durability of it, we already used 1 of our 60 durability because, I think it's because I hit that chest up there. And the weight of the item.